Operation Epic Fury.
Some new breaking news out of Operation Epic Fury. After launching devastating attacks against Iran's nuclear facilities, our commander-in-chief has announced a 5-day pause. But here's what the mainstream media won't tell you. It's not weakness. This is the art of the deal in action on the world stage. See, Trump, he says productive conversations are happening behind closed doors. But is Iran really coming to the table, or are they just playing usual games? Now, here's the question that everybody should be asking. What's really happening during these 5 days? I'm going to tell you why this matters to you and your family right now. For 47 years, the Iranian regime has been at war with America. They funded terrorists who've killed our soldiers. They've chanted death to America in their streets. And just weeks ago, they were caught red-handed lying about not having long-range missiles, missiles that can now reach most of Europe. This is not just some distant conflict, folks. This is about whether your children, your grandchildren, inherit a world where terrorist regimes have nuclear weapons pointed at Western civilization. Gas prices, national security, the safety of our allies in Israel, it all hangs in the balance. President Trump understands what's at stake. He's the only leader willing to put maximum pressure on these terrorists while still offering them an off-ramp. But make no mistake, if Iran doesn't take this opportunity, the full might of American military power is locked and loaded. This 5-day window could determine whether we see peace through strength or whether the mullahs force our hand. And speaking of protecting what matters most, there is another threat you need to be prepared for right now. New numbers out of Washington show that inflation's on the rise again. Another threat to you, your savings account, and your retirement. So ask yourself an honest question. Does your dollar go as far as it did 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even last year? With global tensions rising and uncertainty in the Middle East, what does the next decade look like for you and your savings? If your portfolio lacks exposure to gold, one of history's most reliable economic hedges, it's time to rethink your strategy. You see, gold's kept up with inflation and in many periods has outpaced it significantly. That's why I trust Noble Gold Investments. They make it easy to protect your wealth with physical precious metals. And right now, they're offering Next News viewers a free 10th ounce American Gold Eagle with qualifying purchases. Don't wait for the next crisis to protect your family's future. Go to nextnewsgold.com today and take control of your financial security. Now let's get back to what's really happening with Iran and the strategic moves that President Trump is making. See, here's what the talking heads aren't telling you about this 5-day pause. Military analysts are pointing out something fascinating. 5 days is exactly how long it takes for thousands of U.S. Marines to arrive in the region. Coincidence? There are no coincidences in Washington, D.C. See, President Trump announced this before the markets opened. Stocks went up, oil prices went down. He's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. And former Trump envoys are already laying out the strategic options, including taking control of Karg Island and the Strait of Hormuz. What is this called? This is called peace through strength. Let's dive into it. President Trump announcing huge progress towards peace with Iran. All U.S. strikes on Iranian energy infrastructure are officially postponed for 5 days, pending success of the ongoing meetings and discussions.
To report that the United States of America and the country of Iran have had over the last 2 days very good and productive conversations regarding a complete and total resolution of our hostilities in the Middle East. Based on the tenor and tone of these depth, detailed, and constructive conversations, which will continue throughout the week, I have instructed the Department of War to postpone any and all military strikes against Iranian power plants and energy infrastructure for 5 days, for a 5-day period, subject to the success of the ongoing meetings and discussions.
So Pezeshkian, the president, has urged India to be an arbiter between us and them, because
the president
India's saying, "Hey, can I use the strait?" And there was a report yesterday, yeah, you can use the strait for $2 million. That's not good. You cannot, no, by the end of this conflict, Iran can no longer have control of that strait. So whatever that needs to be done, that's got to be truly international waters.
Yep, I believe they need to be stripped of control of that strait. President Trump's strategic pause in military action leaves us wondering if there's more than meets the eye. But as we learn, the timing of troops' arrival could tell a very different story. A reporter now pointing out that Trump's 5-day pause in the war is the exact amount of time it takes for thousands of U.S. Marines to arrive in the region in Iran. He'll probably attack after the markets close on Friday. Listen to this.
And these talks led Trump to announce a 5-day pause in attacks on Iranian energy infrastructure. That just happens to be about the amount of time it takes for thousands of Marines to arrive in that area. Whether that's a coincidence or not is not clear. Trump made this announcement before the markets opened, so stocks went up and oil prices went down. That achieved one goal of his. So he might be sincere. There is speculation that he might be backing down from his threat to attack Iran's energy infrastructure, that he was just trying to calm markets. Or it could simply be strategic ambiguity, an effort to keep Iran off its balance as to what the U.S. endgame is.
Oh, think about the timing, right? 5 days, the Marines will be there. Well, Trump's pause holds the spotlight. Others are advocating a more boots-on-the-ground approach, suggesting a historic military strategy in the Strait of Hormuz. Former special envoy to Ukraine on Fox and Friends. Listen.
I'm a big believer in putting boots on the ground, not necessarily into Iran, but taking Karg Island and also taking the Strait of Hormuz. Look, we kind of need to do it the way the Romans used to do it. You need to put your legions on the ground to secure the territory and give them confidence that they can do it, that we can open up the strait. Look, I know there's risk involved. There's always risk involved, but those kids, those young men and women, they understand the risk involved on taking both Karg and opening up the Strait of Hormuz as well. So they've got the ability to do it. The amphibious ready groups of the Marines, they can open up the lower half of the strait, do it. And then I'd turn around to maybe the 82nd Airborne Division or Rangers or somebody like that to take Karg Island. I would be able to control basically the oil outflow of Iran. And then when you start talking to Galibov, who's the name that you hear being mentioned, who's the Speaker of the House of Iran, that gives them more leverage to do it. You basically cut off their economic lifeline. You know, President Trump saw that in 1988 when he mentioned he should take Karg Island. And he's the only president that's had the guts to be able to launch forces into the Gulf region to take control of that.
Special envoy to Ukraine right there. Remarkable video of all those strikes. The call for decisive action echoes louder as Senator Ted Cruz weighs in, adamantly insisting on a regime change to stop Iran's long-standing aggression against America. Let's go to Ted Cruz. He says, I don't have a dog in the fight when it comes to the next leader of Iran. I just don't want it to be an Islamist who wants to murder Americans. Sounds like common sense.
Look, I think the outcome that we should insist upon is collapse of this regime. I don't have a dog in the fight of who the next leader of Iran is. I just want it not to be an Islamist who wants to murder us. Understand, the reason President Trump launched this attack is because Iran has been killing Americans for 47 years. They have been funding terrorists, murdering Americans year after year after year. And I got to say, when the Ayatollah said death to America, I believe him. I don't think those were empty words. And President Trump believed him as well.
Well, that's what they've been chanting. Death to America. Senator Cruz's stance is clear. But over on CNN, Scott Jennings takes it further, highlighting the deceit and continuous threat that's posed by the Iranian regime. Bill Mitchell posting, just in, why do the mullahs think they can lie straight to President Trump's face? Well, Scott Jennings nailing it on CNN. These are the worst people on earth. They've been at war with America for 47 years.
It would be fine with me if we continue to bomb them. These are the worst people in the world. They've been at war with us for 47 years. They want nuclear weapons. By the way, the reason that they're saying there are no talks while the president is saying there are is because they lie all the time. They sent their people out in February to say, oh, we would never have long-range missiles. We have no plans. And then what do we find out this weekend? They got 4,000-kilometer range missiles that can reach most of Europe. They lie all the time. That's what the Iranians do. They're terrorists. They hate us. We're the great Satan. Israel's the little Satan. We could wipe them off the face of the earth and it would be fine with me. But if the president achieves no nuclear weapons, no ballistic missile program, and an end to the largest state sponsor of terror on the face of the earth, that'll be a good outcome. So I hope he gets it. I'm glad he's working towards a diplomatic solution. They say he might be talking to this Speaker of the Iranian parliament. I don't know how it works over there now because we killed so many of their top guys. Maybe the left hand doesn't know who the right hand's talking to.
They killed so many people, there's no one to communicate with. Okay, so listen. Here's the truth the establishment doesn't want you to understand. President Trump's not backing down. He's setting the table. Senator Ted Cruz said it perfectly. The outcome we should insist upon is the complete collapse of this terrorist regime, not some weak Obama-style deal where we send pallets of cash and hope they behave. Real, lasting change. The Ayatollah said death to America, and President Trump believes him. See, that's the difference between this administration and the previous failures. Trump knows that these are the worst people on earth. They've lied about missiles. They've funded Hamas and Hezbollah. They've killed Americans for nearly 5 decades. And this 5-day window is their last chance to avoid total devastation. So the mullahs might want to take this seriously. You see, what we're witnessing right now is exactly why America elected Donald Trump again. He's the only leader with the backbone to stand up to these terrorists while simultaneously offering them a path to peace. No weakness, no appeasement, just pure American strength and strategic brilliance. So the next few days will be critical. And you can bet the mainstream media will try to spin this as chaos when it's actually calculated pressure. Now share this video with everybody you know because they need to hear the truth about what's really happening. And drop a comment below. Do you think Iran will take Trump's offer seriously or will they force his hand? Yes or no? I want to hear from you. And since you made it to the end of the video, a special gift, text raw feed to 844-840-4963. That's how we bypass the algorithm. That's how we make sure you get the news that you have watched this whole video for. You'll get a direct notification from me to your cell phone. All you have to do is text raw feed to 844-840-4963. And don't forget to check out the Next News merch shop. You'll find a little shelf below with some gear. Show your support for America First journalism and make sure you're subscribed. Turn on those notifications because this story is developing fast. I'm Gary Franchi for the Next News Network. Stay informed and stay free.
The system controls information. Information control is power.
They don't want you to see this.
The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.